Good morning, Starshines. My name is DH, my pronouns are they, them, and this is the Cozycast, episode 1. Today is Saturday, February 24th, and this is the very first episode of what I hope will become your favorite podcast. That was cheesy. I'm going to leave it in, because this is the third time I've recorded this intro, and if I keep re-recording intros, I'm never going to get anything done, because this is a project that I've been very excited about for a long time. It's something I've wanted to do for a long time. I started making solid plans to do it about a month ago, and I've been talking myself out of filming every single time because if it isn't perfect the very first time, I will cry. But that's not how this works. So this is episode 1 of the Cozycast, and we're going with it. Like I said, my name is DH. My pronouns are they, them. I am a non-binary person. I live in Toronto with my spouse and our 9 kids, who you all saw in the little intro to the podcast, and you will probably see a few of them here and there throughout. I am not above using my children for views, and I will sprinkle some footage of them in liberally. I stream on Twitch a couple times a week. Right now it's 2, sometimes it's 3, maybe 4, depends on my energy levels. I do a cozy crafting stream on Monday nights, and then the rest of the week is usually some kind of cozy gaming. That's why you'll see on the same channel there will be some gaming videos, especially some older Let's Play style videos. I won't be producing as many of those in the future, but there will still be some gaming content. I am going to include some in this podcast as well because it's part of my life. I'm mostly a knitter, but I also know how to crochet. I do a little bit of cross stitch and a little bit of creative journaling. So kind of like bullet journaling, but not quite as aesthetic or structured as what you might find when you search bullet journaling on YouTube. But I am going to share some of that with you as well, because it does cross over into my knitting and crochet, because I keep a detailed crafting log that I will be showing off. So what can you expect from this? This channel, instead of the Let's Play style gaming videos, going forward, you're going to be seeing a knitting podcast, this podcast, the Cozycast. I am going to try and get this one out every other week. In between, you'll see other knitting and crafting themed videos. I have one coming up on my Meade wardrobe project. I might also do some smaller ones on my stash, on how I plan projects, on my crafting journal, things like that. If you do have a topic that you're interested in that you'd like to see me talk about, please let me know down below in the comments so I know what to make for you guys. I'm going to be talking about what I'm working on, what I finished, the things that I'm planning to make, how I make those plans, a little bit of my life stuff. I am a large fat man. I am chronically ill. I'm disabled. I'm unemployed. I am a crafter. I'm queer. I'm neurodivergent. And I'm going to talk about that stuff. Not a lot. Not always in a super depressing way, but it's part of my life, and part of why I want to start this podcast is to make those parts of my life more visible for the people who feel like they can't share those parts of themselves. I don't know if you just heard some crazy skittering cat feet, but that's what you just heard. There is going to be lots of animal footage. Like I said, I am not above using my children for views. So that's the Cozycast. It's what it's going to be is probably going to change and evolve. This is only episode 1. I'm still figuring out what I'm doing. I'm figuring out the camera, the lighting, the sound. So that said, let's move into the knitting portion of the podcast and talk about my projects. So right now it is February. If you are participating in F-It February, that means finish, fix it, or frog it. I started off F-It February with a list of things I wanted to finish or frog, and realized that one of the things I wanted to fix was my entire wardrobe. So I'm going to make a further video about this, going into the exact details of what I'm calling my Me Made wardrobe project. This is basically my new knitting obsession, and it does what it says on the tin. I am trying to create not so much a capsule wardrobe as a wardrobe of hand knitted items that I can wear on a daily basis. Right now, I only have a couple of pieces that I do wear on a daily basis. I have knit several things for myself, but most of them aren't wearable for one reason or another. And I'll get more into that in the Me Made Wardrobe Project video. One of the things that I have made fairly recently that I wear almost all the time. I'll throw this on when I need to go out of the house. I'll throw this on around the house for an extra layer, and that is this, what I'm wearing right now. I call it my murder genser because I love the Scandinavian tradition of naming patterns the something genser, which genser just means sweater, so the Yule genser just means Christmas sweater. So this is my murder genser, and that if you can recognize the color pattern, it's based on the movie Child's Play in the Chucky franchise. It's a very basic raglan sweater. I didn't do any short row shaping or anything like that. I just kind of wung it, and this is what I got. And it's a DK weight sweater, so it's nice and light. And I did a balloon sleeve type construction, which I slightly regret because they are just a little bit too large to be practical. So I'm still dialing it in. Hi, Earl. Do you want to say hello to the people? Okay, bye. And we're back. Early just crazied all over and knocked over part of my setup, so I just had to take a minute and reset the camera and reset my notes, so things like that. I was talking about my Me Made Wardrobe project, so that is what I'm working on now. I am experiencing some hand tremors. I'll get again more into that later in the podcast. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a background of like where I am health-wise, because that plays a lot into what I craft and my life in general. But I have some hand tremors that are really preventing me from working on stuff on small diameter needles. So unfortunately socks are right out, and I have felt overhatted. And I also made a ton of gloves and mittens over the Christmas season. So it's all sweaters all the time, and they're mostly for me. So, declaration of whips. I have 14 works in progress in various states of completion. None of them are super close to being done, unfortunately. I went through a spate of finishing over the new year, and now I have a bunch of stuff that I started. I started, I think, 9 projects since the beginning of the year. Something like that. It might be more, honestly. Might be 10 or 11. Most of them for the Me Made Wardrobe project, which I've been working on for the last couple of months. So I don't work on everything at the same time. Most of them are packed away in a bin. And then I kind of pull them out as I feel the desire to work on them. So right now I've actually got 5 that I am working on actively. And the way that I manage this, if there isn't a project that I'm super into right now, that I'm hyper fixated on, that I really, really want to get done. For me, this was actually the field sweater for the last few days. I worked on it religiously for like a solid week, and now I'm starting to feel some of that focus slip away. I actually have a wheel of random names. It's a wheel spinner. It's got all of my projects loaded up into it, and I literally just spin the wheel and work on what it lands on until I feel like changing projects or until someone tells me to spin it again. I do have my friends online who will yell at me at random points during the day to spin the wheel of whips, and whatever pops up is what I work on. So these are the 5 whips that are on the wheel that are out and about in my general vicinity. I can lay hands on them at any point and pick them up and put them down. So let's jump right in. I've got them all around me. I don't know where I'm going to start. Let's start with the field sweater because I already mentioned that. This has been my current obsession. So this is the field sweater by Camilla Vad. She's a Scandinavian designer, and this project, there's more kitter pitter patter going on in the background. So here it is. I have the yoke pretty much finished. It's got this beautiful pattern of cables and baubles that create this grain-like pattern here. And then some projects use a color work to make that final round of grains stand out. So as you can see, that's kind of what I've done here. I could probably do, welcome back, color. I could probably separate for the sleeves now, but I'm going to do another probably 1.5 inches just to make sure I have a deep enough yoke. Because of my size and my dimensions, most patterns, especially those by Scandinavian designers, aren't really written to my size or my specs. This pattern, actually, I am using a larger needle and larger yarn than it calls for, but so I did the math to figure out how many repeats I needed to do of the pattern. But even if I had followed the instructions for the correct number of repeats, the sleeves would have still been too thin for me. I got weird proportions. But luckily, I have the experience to know what those weird proportions are and how to adjust for them. So one of the things that I know is that I need a 12-inch yoke depth. I can try and cut corners and make that shorter and talk myself into it, but it's not going to fit me right. So I've still got a couple more inches left on, probably about 1.5 inches left to go on this, and then I'm going to not split for sleeves. I'm going to do something really weird. I'll talk about it in the next podcast if I actually get there. The yarn, I'm just going to show you it again. It's beautiful. You can see why I've been obsessed with this. Like, it's absolutely gorgeous. The gold where it meets that peacock blue, it's amazing. This is Lion Brand Mandala in the colorway Chimera. So it's a big box store acrylic yarn. You'll get to know me. I use mostly acrylic for a variety of reasons. Some of those being sensitivity issues due to possible ASD, due to pain, and some of them being disability issues. Acrylic is just a lot easier to care for. And if you are disabled and you find it difficult to do things like stand and hand wash clothes, having an all acrylic wardrobe it's an accommodation for your disability. That's just what it is. So what I did for this is I started at the kind of maroony, the point where it transitions from purple, hi Earls, from purple to red, and then I picked it up again. So the blue is the same yarn, but it's just picked up at a different point in the gradient, because you can see this gradient now is moving through the purple and the maroon, and this color is the same as this color up here. So it looks so pretty. I love it. I'm so excited. Where are you going, Earls? This is early, by the way. This is one of my children. She is about 12 years old at this point. She's a gray and white tabby, as you can see. She's got some beans in her jeans. She's a little bit crazy, but she's a super cuddle bug. You will often find her curled up on my chest right here while I'm knitting, while I'm playing video games. She doesn't quite mind. So that's the Field Sweater by Camilla Vad. I've been working on it nonstop. I will probably continue working on it nonstop until I get to the end of the yoke, which I'm hoping will be tonight. I'm gonna try and get those last few rounds in. I'm working it at a gauge of 4 stitches to the inch and 6 rows to the inch. So another 1.5 inches is only, like 9 rows. I can do math. I think it's 9 rows. Hello! So I'm hoping that this sweater is going to break my round yoke curse. I've made 2 round yoke cardigans for myself, and I didn't like the way that they fit, because I found that they really gapped at the front. Like they kind of flapped open and... Do you mind? Father is working. This is Gigi. Gigi is our only male cat. He is a large, handsome tuxedo man. Who thinks he runs the house. Say hello to the people, Gigi. Yeah, you're a good boy. Handsome boy. I don't like the way that round yoke cardigans look on me, and I don't like the way that they fit. So I'm hoping that a round yoke pullover will, because I really like the way that they look, and I think it opens up a lot of options for me in terms of color work, especially those Norwegian style round yoke cardigan color work pullovers, which I am so interested in making one. And you will see that in the Me Made wardrobe video. I have quite a few kind of on my wish list to try, but I don't want to do that until after I completely finish Field and see how it fits. How it actually fits on my body and my shape, and see how I like it in practicality. Okay, so next one up. I'm gonna go with something that I am actually designing myself, and this is a shape that I know I like on my body, so I'm designing what I like. I'm calling this the Stripey Sleeves Pullover. It's looking a little bit tangled because I worked, because I'm making up this pattern, I kind of worked on it in pieces, and then I stopped and started and jumped around. So it's not a super linear project, but basically it's a boxy style drop shoulder pullover. I didn't do short rows. I just did a bit of shaping along the neck. So it's this lovely dark steel, again, acrylic. It's actually the same yarn as this one, just in a different color. This lovely yoke, and then I put the yoke on hold. So I finished the yoke, did about an inch, and then put it on hold and went over to the sleeve because I really wanted to see how the sleeve was going to work out. So these are the sleeves. I don't know how well the camera is picking up that sparkle. Oh yeah, you can kind of see it there. So this yarn is Hobby Universe, which is a lace weight acrylic with stellina running all through it. I'm holding it double, and I basically took scraps from a bunch of different projects and divided them into kind of light scraps and dark scraps, and then I balled them up in a double-stranded magic ball as light and dark, and then I'm just going to do stripes. Use our 6-row stripes, doing some decreasing to do a little bit of shape, but it's not going to be a super tight sleeve. I used the same double-stranded universe for the collar here. And yeah, so just kind of picking along at this. I have both the sleeve on needles as well as the body on needles. Hello. Because I wanted to see how the sleeve worked up, but then I realized I was running out of this dark steel. I needed to find some other yarn options. So the body is going to end up striped as well. I have some Patons Astra in black. I have some Canadiana in light gray, mid gray, dark gray. I'm just going to stripe it until it's long enough, and we'll go from there. So I'm really excited about this because this is a shape that I know works really well on my body, and that I just really enjoy wearing. I think it's going to be super light, super cozy, just something to, put on in the morning with a pair of jeans. So that's the Stripey Sleeves pullover, my own design. I'm really excited to see how that comes together, especially with the funky sleeves. What is next? So as part of my Me Made wardrobe project, one of the things that I need is kind of a around the house layer. You don't want to put on something else, but you just need to wear a little bit of something else warm. So of course the king of a little bit of an extra house layer is Mr. Rogers, and I don't know if you're aware, but they recently, I don't know how recently, maybe last year, put out a book of knitting patterns called Knitting the Neighborhood, which contains a lot of different patterns, but especially recreations of Mr. Rogers cardigans. So I am making one of those. This is the Beautiful Day cardigan from Knitting the Neighborhood. I just started on the back. So it's very boring. It's stockinette with ribbing. That's it. I just started on the back. It's 17 inches of stockinette, so I've been kind of working on this when I have absolutely no brains for anything else. Let's see if you can see the color of the yarn there. I'm still figuring out the lighting situation in this room. So this is, again, another hobby yarn. Everything I've shown you so far has been hobby. I haven't ordered from hobby in a really long time. This means I need to work through some of my stash. This is Hobby Fluffy Day. It is a worsted weight acrylic, but it does have the slightest bit of a halo. You can see there. It's meant to mimic the look of holding a mohair with another yarn. And it does that quite nicely, but it is 100% acrylic and it doesn't trigger my itchy factor like mohair does. Even acrylic-based mohairs, just the prickle. I can't do it. I can't do the prickle. And it's in this beautiful dusty green color. I think it's called Jade. So yeah, so this is going to be one of my Mr. Rogers cardigans. I have 2 more lined up. I have the yarn for them. I have the patterns. I want to embrace my inner Mr. Rogers when I come home from work and put on my comfy shoes. So this isn't going to get finished anytime soon. This is kind of my like end of the night. I just want to keep my hands busy, but I do not want to think about anything else project. It just sits by my desk and I pull it out when I'm zoning out. So that's 3 so far. The 4th project hasn't gotten very far. I'm not giving it very much love lately. I don't know why, actually, but this is really cool pattern, really funky pattern called Peach Fuzz by Melanie Berg. I absolutely love the look of this pattern. I'm not so much enjoying the pattern itself. The gauge is really weird, and the designer herself mentions this in the pattern notes, that if you can't get her gauge, you just need to knit a different size, which seems like an odd instruction to include in the pattern itself. I mean, it's correct, it's what you should do, but that shouldn't be what you're telling someone to do if they can't match your really weird gauge. I can't remember exactly what the gauge is supposed to be. It's like 26 stitches over 4 inches for worsted weight on a 4.5 millimeter or something like that. I'll put what it actually is here, and you can see why I have some concerns. But I love the pattern, so I'm taking the construction and just doing it at my own gauge. So this is all I have so far. I've started working on the back. I've done the ribbing and then the short rows for the back, and then it's just stockinette for until this is 12 inches long. Like I said, I like a 12-inch yoke. I want to make sure everything is 12 inches. So again, this is just plain stockinette, which probably is why it hasn't gotten much love, because it's the same as the Mr. Rogers cardigan. It's just plain stockinette, flat. This yarn is Loops and Threads Wool-like, which has been discontinued, and I didn't realize that. So when I started this project, let's see if you can see that lovely green. When I started this project, I was like, oh, I'll start it. I don't think I have enough, but it's wool-like. I can just run to Michael's and pick up some more. So I started the project, and then I realized that it's discontinued. But luckily, a friend saw my moment of panic online and sent me 4 balls of wool-like. So I'll be able to finish this with wool-like. It'll have probably a little bit more color blocking than the pattern calls for, but we'll make it work. It'll be fine. It's such a beautiful pattern. I just really love the construction, and I love the little structural details like the ribbing over the shoulders and the drop shoulder with the color blocking. It's just little structural details like that I love. So yeah, so that's Peach Fuzz. You probably won't see many updates on this for a while. Like I said, I've just got other things that I'm kind of focusing on. but it's in the rotation, and it does get a little bit of love every now and then when it comes up on the wheel spins. But it's one of the ones where I'll spin the wheel, it comes up peach fuzz, and then I'll work on it for about half an hour and decide it's time for something else. Hydration break. So that brings me to the final work in progress that I am actively working on. This actually just came back into the rotation yesterday because it's not for me, it is for a friend of mine. I don't knit a whole lot for other people who aren't married to me or are me or are an animal or a baby. I'll knit for babies because babies don't care and you can kind of do them whatever size you want. But I don't usually knit for other people because it's hard to measure them accurately, as well as get to know their preferences in terms of fabrics and things like that. So I picked this pattern out for her. Well, we picked it out together. I basically presented her with a list of patterns. I'm like, I think you might like some of these, and she went for the one that I really thought she would, which is the pattern Usagi by Harper B. This is a pattern that is inspired by Sailor Moon's bed sheets, and it's so pretty dainty. It's perfect for this friend. And because this friend doesn't have the same disability accommodation needs or the same skin sensitivities, I was able to try some new materials. So I ended up getting some merino from Drops, as well as their kid silk mohair for that sheer panel at the top. And then I had a moment of panic because the mohair really sets me off. And I didn't want to make something for a friend that she wouldn't be able to wear, basically. And she lives across the country. So it wasn't like I could just like jump over and be like, okay, stick this yarn down your bra for 5 minutes and let me know how itchy it is. But luckily, our mutual friend who she works with had some Drops Kid Silk in stash. So I arranged for this mutual friend to knit a small swatch of it and then give it to my friend that I'm knitting the sweater for to wear inside her clothes for 15 minutes or so. Because for a lot of people, myself included, the Kid Silk mohair feels quite soft to the touch, especially in the mall. But once it's knitted up and once it's actually on my skin, it starts to kind of build this prickliness. I can knit with it perfectly fine. And I can handle the yarn while it's in the ball perfectly fine. But I can't really wear it next to my skin. And so I was really concerned that she wouldn't be able to wear it next to her skin either. But luckily, no problem whatsoever. She was able to wear the swatch. She tucked it down her shirt, totally forgot about it. So obviously it wasn't bothering her. So project's back on. So, like I said, the pattern is Usagi by Harper B. I haven't gotten very far before I had my little mohair related meltdown. So it's in 2 pieces. So this is the body. The friend I'm knitting for is also considerably smaller than I am, so I'm kind of enjoying not having to knit a gigantic tube for the body. So this is the body. These are kind of the smallest needles that I can currently handle. They are a 3.75 millimeter. And this is the Drops Baby Merino in this beautiful blue. It's going to, so I'm doing the body in stockinette with no lace details because I'm going to do a duplicate stitch colorwork detail. I was going to do intarsia, but it's not enough colorwork that I really needed to do intarsia. Duplicate stitching is just going to be a lot neater, a lot faster, a lot easier on me. So I'm just doing the body in stockinette, and then I started the sleeves as well, just to have something to switch off on, because tubes of stockinette and me don't hold my attention quite as well as they should. So I started the sleeves as well, because I am doing the lace detail from the pattern on the sleeves You can see the very start of it there. So this was set down for quite a while until I could figure out the whole mohair situation. So mohair situation has been figured out. It's back in rotation. I'm looking forward to working on it because the I haven't worked with many drops yarns, and I'm really curious about them. So far, I'm really enjoying the touch of the baby merino. I really love it. I am pondering in the future doing a sweater to quantity of it for myself as well, but I'm not sure. We'll see. We shall see. So those are all the works in progress that I'm working on right now. I am going to throw up a few pictures now of my latest yarn acquisition. So I have no yarn budget. Like, my budget for yarn is 0 at this point. But a friend online is moving away from using acrylics in her crafting, which totally fine. Everybody has their own preferences. She's able to work with non-acrylic yarns just fine, comfortably, and wanted to pass on some of her stash to me, which was amazing. So we spent a very kind of crazy night coordinating exactly what from her vast stash she was going to send me. And she was so happy to get rid of a ton of stuff that is going to a home where it will be appreciated. And I was so incredibly grateful to have all of this wonderful new yarn that came in. So I'm going to throw up some pictures here. Apparently, in order to get it all to fit in the box, she and her husband had to use ratchet straps to hold it closed while they duct taped it. And this thing was packed. Like, I'm sure the mailman was regretting not using his little trolley bringing it up to the condo, because it was so heavy and so large. I was shocked. And so I put it down, and the cats were all highly concerned. So I very carefully took some scissors to the duct tape because I didn't want to cut any of the yarn inside, and this thing popped. It was like a can of Pillsbury biscuits. It popped open. It was so funny. It was so stuffed with yarn, like beautifully packed yarn. And then I started digging through it. So you can see that there is a second layer of yarn under this top layer. There was so much yarn that I couldn't get it all back into the box. I ended up having to fill a plastic Sterilite tote with yarn, and then the box was still full of yarn. Like, I have no idea how she managed to get it all in here. So I'm really excited because there were like 6 sweater quantities plus sock yarn, plus she sent me some drops yarn that I could play around with so I could see how it feels before I invested in more of it for myself. So many projects in this box. I am so incredibly grateful to her. And it was just so fun to get this giant package of new yarn. The generosity of random internet strangers, random internet friends, will never cease to amaze me. Let's just put it that way. I want to work on my video editing skills and create like a really chronic illness update splash intro for this section, because I always feel like it deserves it. I'm not going to go into all of this detail every podcast, but like I said, I want this podcast to be about both my crafting but also about my life. Just shed some visibility on people who are struggling with disabilities and people who are struggling specifically with long COVID. So this being the first episode of the Cozycast, y'all get the entire trauma info dump. Buckle in. It's a little bit of a long story. This is going to get a little bit depressing, but I promise fun stuff is coming up. I might add some really cute animal footage in later to make up for this. But I feel like it's good context for you to know about me going forward. So when I mention things in future episodes, like having a seizure, having to go to the hospital, or seeing a specialist, you'll know why, what's going on. So, I 2 years ago, I was very healthy. Despite my size, I've always been this size. I've always been a big kid. And then I grew into a large fat man, but I've always been quite healthy. I used to run 5Ks for fun. I was extremely active. Um, my wife has been disabled for the last 10 or so years, and I've been her caregiver this whole time. And then when the pandemic hit, I decided to take that caregiver energy and go full time with it. So I actually became a personal support worker, which is a PSW. In the States, they're often called a CNA or a certified nurse aide. Basically, we're like nurse lights. We can't do meds, we can't give injections, anything like that, but all of those basic nursing functions that you think of, especially when it comes to people who live in a nursing home, that's what I went into the business of. So I worked, it's a very, very active, very physically demanding job. I did work in a long term care facility. I, was helping people manage their day to day life. And then I moved into doing home care. All this while the pandemic was going on, and I actually ended up getting COVID from a client. I wound up with several different COVID infections, and the last one I just never got back up from. I passed out one day at work, just fainted in the lobby of the client that I had gone to see, and yeah, I never was able to go back to work after that. I was fainting 3 to 5 times a day. I had shortness of breath. I was fatigued. I had muscle pain. I saw every specialist under the sun. My family care doctor is amazing. He is so good. He was so supportive. He believed me. He didn't try to write it off as anything, because I was I was having chest pain, and trouble breathing. I was going to the hospital thinking I was having a heart attack, and doctors were just telling me, "Oh, you're just deconditioned. You're just deconditioned. You're just deconditioned. Basically, you're fat and lazy. You're fat and lazy. You need to lose weight and go for a walk every now and then." And it's like, okay, that's not the issue. But luckily, my family care doctor did believe me that wasn't the issue, because he actually said, like, no, I know you. This is not you. Something is not right. So I saw a cardiologist, I saw an internist, I saw a rheumatologist, I saw a neurologist, I saw so many ER doctors. We've ruled out everything. I've gone for CTs, I've gone for a tilt table test, if you know what that is, x-rays, breathing tests. I had the heart monitor that you get strapped on for 2 weeks. I've done it all. In the period of about 6 to 8 months, we tested for everything, came back with it's long COVID. That's As a result of COVID, I developed lung damage. It's not fibrosis, but I do have difficulty drawing breath in. So my body is still pumping oxygen to the rest of my body. That part of it is functioning. It's just I have difficulty getting the air into my body. So my O2 levels don't tend to drop very low. But yeah, so I ended up with lung damage, and as a result of the long COVID, I was fainting quite frequently. And as a result of the fainting and the lung damage and the pain and the stress, I developed a seizure condition. I know, funny stuff. So that is the long-ish version of the frontline healthcare to long COVID to seizure disorder pipeline that I am currently in the process of. What does that look like for me on a daily basis? Well, I am still trying to be my wife's caregiver. We're just trying to take care of each other at this point. I'm not able to work, as there is a risk that I could pass out or have a seizure pretty much at any moment. Usually, if I'm changing tasks, getting up, sitting down, if I'm faced with any kind of disruption to my day, even something like if I'm walking down the hallway and someone comes around the corner unexpectedly, that could trigger a seizure. If I'm in the grocery store and I'm faced with a decision that I have to make in the moment that could trigger a seizure. So it's just not safe for me to work as a PSW because I'm not able to support my clients. I'm not able to drive because, again, I could have a seizure at any moment. So I'm not able to drive. I'm not able to work. I often have to sleep several hours during the day because between the lung damage and the fainting and the fatigue and the muscle weakness, I just can't do it. I need a walker to get around. Like I said, I used to run 5Ks. Now I have a walker that I use to get around my house. I can't cook meals very frequently, and if I do, again, I use a walker while I'm, standing at the stove. I'll sit on the walker instead. I don't like to go out even with my walker because I don't know how far I'm going to get away from the house before I have a seizure or some other kind of medical something going on. I don't do much. The Cozy DH community is pretty much my only connection to the outside world at this point. The knitting community and the gaming community have been a lifeline to sanity for me in these last few months. But yeah, that's the chronic illness update, and I won't go into all of this detail every single time. If you did stick with me through all of that, I do appreciate your time and your attention. So right now I am focusing on doing a little bit more every single day, getting back to a place where I am able to work, where I am able to move around independently, and hopefully into a place where I'm less likely to have a seizure at the drop of a hat. So on that note, let's move into community news. So community news, I do have a community. It's small, but it's awesome. I love the people in my community. They have been so supportive and so amazing. It's so much fun to hang out with them. So I've left a link in the description below to our Discord community as well as to my Twitch channel. So you can join the Discord. It's a fantastic little group of people. We hang out, we talk about crafting, we talk about games. There's a little bit of daily sunshine that Toot posts every day. If you're feeling a little bit down, the daily sunshine will perk you up and remind you to keep going. So definitely come check us out on Discord. If you're not a Discord person, you can hang out with us on Twitch. Every Monday night, I do go live for a crafty chat. It's a really fun live stream. We just listen to lo-fi. I do some knitting on stream. We chat, we hang out. If you're working on your own project, it's a great chance to body double. And yeah, that's a perfect way to join the community as well. So both of those links are down below. Currently, so right now the schedule is looking like crafty chat on Monday nights, and for the rest of the week, either 1 or 2 streams in the rest of the week, I am playing Yono and the Celestial Elephants, which is a super cute little puzzle platformer. I'm gonna throw in a little clip right here so you can kind of see what the game is about. Or maybe, because I collected a bunch of letters. That was... What? You're just on the house. Okay. I collected a bunch of letters. And I don't know if that's a thing. I'm gonna go see if the letters are what wakes him up. Really? Was it a chicken the whole time? Did I really have to just bring him a chicken? Is that why there was a chicken in the front yard? Have I been running around town doing these fetch quests thinking that I needed to do something to unlock the Lore Master when all I had to do was bring him a chicken? And I only figured it out because I compulsively pick up chickens in this game? Anyways, welcome back to the land of the living. So yeah, so that's Yono. I'm having so much fun with it. It is a super beloved game in this household. and I've actually never played through it myself. Toot has played it several times, so I'm looking forward to finishing that up. So I think that is all I had for us on this first episode. So yeah, that's it. Everything about this podcast is super new. So if you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing so that you will get updated in 2 weeks when I post the next one. If you have any questions or things that you'd like to see, absolutely pop a comment down below, and I'll try and get to as many of those as possible, either in a future podcast or making a separate video. And as always, like the video, and that tells the YouTube robots that my content is worth your time. So right about now, you should see some buttons popping up around my head. You should click them. They're pretty cool. If you hit this one, you'll subscribe to the channel so you won't miss a video. And if you hit one of these, you'll see more of my videos. So we'll be back in 2 weeks with another Cozycast. But until then, I will see you in the Discord. I will see you on Twitch. And as always, I'll see you in my heart. All right. Bye, guys.